Hello and greetings everyone, Darth Koldis here with an update video. Now, I have known that you guys wanted me to do Darth Koldis, and I will. The only issue is that I have to do a little bit of changes to the setting that he's in. Because as some of you guys made me aware of, the 9th Jedi takes place 1000 after the Battle of Yavin, which not really conflicts with my idea too much, because my previous idea was 300 ABY, but I kinda still want to be able to reference what happens in the 9th Jedi, and given that I've watched the show so far as it's released, I kinda like the general idea of things falling apart, because that's what happened historically in the galaxy every time when there was no big Empire Republic filling anything, and that the downward spiral from Celestials to Rakatan Empire to Old Republic times to a Sith Golden Age, Old Republic times, Sith Empire, New Republic times, things just go downhill as time goes on, and so the year 1000 that everything is kinda down again makes perfect sense within the progression that happens in the galaxy. And I really like the style that the hyperlanes get more difficult to traverse. That actually was an idea that I had myself in my original video, and that the issue becomes that governments become more and more localized, and there's more and more local stuff happening, which, to be fair, was always happening in the galaxy. It was just not in the focus, because the Outer Rim territories were always kind of planetary based and rarely even system based governments. Some not even had planetary governments. So Outer Rim territories were always kind of the wild card anyway, and there's of course wild space and other things like that had that happen, and in the unknown regions anything was possible, technically speaking, with multiple empires forming without the rest of the galaxy even realizing it. And so the general setting that even the core now is falling apart, I think I'm kinda liking that, though we have to come up with some way of traveling reliably so the galaxy doesn't shrink to basically one planet where everything is being set on. So I'd kind of like to have this time where Koldis reappears in the galaxy set even far further behind that, giving the galaxy enough time to somewhat recover a little bit, and having it change in certain ways. Now I'll go into these a bit more in detail shortly. My idea was that I set Darth Koldis in the year 2000 ABY. Why? Because, well, that gives the time to the galaxy to change the setting as I like, kinda. It gives us time that anything that might still come out for the 9th Jedi or related projects is still in the past. It gives me a buffer that I don't think anyone will go to or beyond in any time that I can consider right now. So I think that's granting me the most freedom. Also, given that another 1000 years pass, you might think that's a big time jump. It's actually not. If you look at the actual history of the galaxy, between the Celestials and the Rakatan Empire, we have, what, about 1,000,000 years pass or something between the Rakatan Empire and the Sith Empire. We have another about 5,000 or 6,000 years pass between the ancient Sith Empire and the Star Wars Old Republic. We have another about 3,000 years. Between that and Bane we have another 2,500 years. Between that and Sidious we have another 1,000 years pass. So there's really not that much happening in a 1,000 years time jump usually. That being said, I also think the galaxy would still be mostly the same. We'd have the same species, the same planets, we'd have more or less the same technology, we'd have the same societies overall. What we wouldn't have is these big governments like the Republic or the Empire. Those wouldn't exist in this time. And it would be more localized things. I also think that the Jedi and the Sith, given the preset set by the 9th Jedi, aren't a big institution anymore either. There's some Jedi, there's some Sith out there, small numbers, and they all kind of do their own thing. They don't play a big role in the galaxy, but big enough in terms of localized things. Like they are not a galaxy-wide spanning problem, but more localized problem. And I kind of want to take this opportunity to put a twist on both of these factions, because they are so far removed from the original teachings. Like Luke has already kind of had to reinvent the Jedi, and then now his father does the same, and you get to the general idea that the knowledge is simply not there anymore. Palpatine already had lost most of the knowledge the Sith had before him, so we kind of have to start from scratch, and if you start from scratch, you tend to repeat mistakes, you tend to fall into the same traps, and you have to rediscover everything, which I think leads to the Jedi repeating many mistakes where they are not interfering in wars like they did in the Mandalorian wars, and just sit back and let crime happen, let slavery happen like they did throughout the galactic history, just let wars happen, and they don't interfere because they're all about peace and meditating. That said, they're still opposing the dark side, and they do that rigorously. So they are fighting wrong things, they are fighting knowledge that they deem dangerous, they fight individuals that may be force sensitive but are not Jedi, to make sure they don't fall to the dark side. They will be actively hunting down people with very strong emotions that could potentially strengthen the dark side, or try to wipe out dark side planets and stuff like that. So they're still fighting, they're still doing things, but they are kinda not intervening in the suffering of the galaxy at large, because it's all in the force, it's all good, yada yada yada, it's all balanced, yada yada yada. You get the idea. So the Jedi are kind of perversion of themselves this time. Same with the Sith. I think that the remaining Sith took the freedom part a little bit too far, and they rule over their own planets or enclaves and are just indulging into their passions. No discipline, they're just drinking, doing drugs, having orgies, all that kind of stuff. Like really debauchery and degeneration going on there big time. They kind of lost the focus, they kind of lost what it means to be a Sith. They're just using the name as an excuse, or maybe they have some idea about the rule of two Sith and how that went, and the one Sith that came later, and they have a very warped view of the Sith as well, though they technically speaking kinda sorta still link back to the one Sith, and that whole thing happening there. So they're kinda helping each other out, oppressing local populations, and infighting happens of course as well, because they sometimes don't like each other and then they go at each other's throats. And the main thing that I want to focus on in the setting is actually the dangers that are in the galaxy. I don't want to take out of galaxy sources in here. Technically speaking, that happened in Star Wars, where the Yuzhan Vong came from another galaxy and invaded. If you do that, you can do literally anything. You could have the Borg from Star Trek invading. You could have, I don't know, the Goa'uld from Stargate and stuff like that, and put it in the franchise. Sure, you can. I think that would be a bit too much, a bit too wild. We have enough cool things in Star Wars, and that's where I kind of want to put my scenery in. Now, I want to have Koldis awaken at the very start of these problems. It's not yet too late, it's not a full going apocalypse, but there is things that happen that hint that this will become a big problem at some point. I thought if everything degenerates and everything goes downhill, same for the Chiss Ascendancy, there is no more real guardian for Mgal Mgal. So why not have Mgal Mgal break free and wreak havoc in the unknown regions, where word doesn't really travel all that much anymore, does it? And becoming a real problem in the unknown regions, maybe starting to spill into the Outer Rim territories. And Mgal Mgal, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a giant ooze that can take on different shapes and take over bodies of living creatures, creating zombie armies. Mgal was so dangerous and almost wiped out all life in the galaxy once, which is why it was imprisoned in the unknown regions, and now it's breaking free at the very start of becoming a real problem. Not yet a galaxy-wide threat, but a localized problem in the outer regions, in the unknown regions. I think this would be perfect horror setting. At the same time, I want other things to happen. If you know these three the three, they are basically the Borg of Star Wars. They have the enactment where they make people into machines kind of thing, and they are set in wild space, which is pretty much the other side of the galaxy. If you look at this here, you have here the unknown regions, and wild space is around, do I find it quickly? Yeah, around somewhere here-ish, so pretty much the other side of the known galaxy. And there the three could create an empire and make a big reappearance, do the enactment again, and since there's no unified government, no unified military, the local populations can't really fight back, and they're just taken over and made into the servants. And at the same time, I'd like the Killiks to make a big reappearance, because the Killiks have one really cool thing. They have a hive mind, and they can make other species join into their hive mind by force. So the Killiks become another problem. The Killiks are around Corellia, so more in the inner core, and well, was it Corellia? No, Alderaan, sorry. Well, anyway, why not Corellia too? They are more in the core area of the galaxy. So we have three separate localized problems that all have the potential to become galaxy-wide real problems. And I think that setting offers up a lot. I have to take a very quick look at my notes. I'm not forgetting anything. Oh yeah, racism is spiking because many races, especially the Twi'lek, are very mad at humans for first of all governing the galaxy for over 10,000 years and usually treating other races rather badly, not to mention that they failed hard with the Empire and the Republic alike. Yeah, that's about the Jedi. Oh yeah, the Jedi also like to use mind control to make people agree with them and do what they want, because that's the thing that Jedi sometimes do. So the Jedi are a bit more 1984 territory, where they also use the Force to probe the minds and control the people on the planets that the Jedi are on, which makes them, of course, very ill-liked. Yeah, technology didn't really evolve all that much. Travel becomes more difficult. Killiks 3. Oh yeah, the sentient droids. There is actually 2 sentient species of droids in the galaxy that exist, that were driven out of their home galaxy by the Wong and fled to the galaxy that we know and are in, and they are still around. They were somewhere in the unknown regions, they hid away. How about we have them coming into this too, like a Terminator-like scenario, where they rediscover one of the star forges from the ancient Rakatans and create just this huge droid army to invade the galaxy and take over and basically either enslave biological life or just wipe it out of existence. I think that would be a really cool threat, and also do a lot of Clone Wars throwbacks, because it's basically a droid army once again. I think that would be rather cool. At the same time, I also want to bring in the Sorcerers of Rand. Now, if you don't know who those guys are, they are basically the ultimate nihilists. They are what many people think the Sith are. The Sorcerers of Rand are basically, their main goal is to wipe out the Force, kinda based on the teachings of Darth Vader. The Force is evil and they want to destroy the Force, and just as it happens, the living Force needs life to exist. So they, as a kind of, what's it called, collateral damage. They are willing to wipe out all life in the galaxy to get the Force destroyed. So their idea is that they create wounds in the Force, like it happened with Darth Nihilus and in the Mandalorian Wars, or Mandalore 5 I think it was. So they want to really create wounds in the Force and destroy life and destroy the Force and end the galaxy. They're super powerful dark side users, more powerful than the Sith or the Jedi ever were, and I think they are they are a small group, but they are a super powerful group. And with this I think we have all the major baddie things that could theoretically happen covered and explained why it's not ending the galaxy yet, but could potentially do so in the future. I think this is an apocalypse scenario that gives us so many cool things to play with here, especially as it slowly builds up. There could be so many cool books and games be set in this. I think you could do movies and TV shows in such a setting. And many different genres as well. You can have horror, you can have war stories, you can have crime stories, you can, well, you could have romance and comedy, though that's not particularly fitting the setting per se. It's just something that could theoretically happen inside the setting. You could have tragedies, you could have dramas, you could have so many cool things happen in this. I think this is a really cool idea, and it's only using Star Wars only sources. I didn't make up anything here, which you could do as well, by the way. There's no reason why not. I was asked why not have the Warhammer 40k thing happen in Star Wars. Theoretically, there's nothing really speaking against it. It's just a lot of interference, but technically, sure. You could have anything happen there, as I said in another video. So I think this would be a really cool setting to have Darth Koldis awaken. And now you will be his apprentice, and he will teach you. And the thing about Darth Koldis is that he hails back from the old Republic era, basically the old Sith Empire. And he loves, similar to Darth Maul, he is totally convinced that this was the best thing ever, and he wants to bring it back. Since there is no Emperor, he has two major goals. One, he wants to rebuild the Sith as a religious Sith order, worshipping the ancient Sith gods with the old Sith structure of the order, trying to reduce the failures of the Sith orders that came after him. Like he kind of wants to stop the intrigue and infighting that the old Sith Empire had as a problem. He wants to reduce the infighting as much as possible. He wants to make sure that the Sith are strong and numerous, and basically he will explain to you the failures of Bane, the failures of the old Sith, the failures of the Brotherhood of Darkness, the failures of the Sith of his time, the failures of Palpatine and Vader, and the failures of the Jedi of various periods, and so on and so forth, and build on that and try to come up with something new that actually builds a Sith order that lasts. At the same time, he'll fight against the Sith that are currently in the galaxy because they basically besmirch the name and they're not worthy at all. He will also fight the Jedi because, sure, why not? Ancient grudges and stuff like that. And he will also try to create an empire, unify the galaxy, and make it able to fight back against these threats before they get out of hand. And that would be his main focus, because Ngal Ngal is a real problem that has to be dealt with as soon as possible, and the other problems, well, shouldn't be ignored either, but you really need to have a unified population and military to go up against such a thing. So there could also be a lot of travel involved, and so on and so forth, technological stuff. And since he hails from a time where things were very different, he can give a lot of input. He may know technology that has been lost. He has a lot of knowledge on force, on rituals, on alchemy, and so on and so forth, that was lost, and he can bring back. And you can be his apprentice and learn from him directly. That is the general idea that I have. Let's just see if I forgot anything important. No, I think that this will work rather well. He's going to try to revive the Sith Order and fulfill thus the Sithari prophecy once again, as many characters did before, and become the Emperor. Now, obviously, that is a little bit large. It's an NPC. You will be the PC. I have also decided, you know what? Fuck it. Why not have him be the Wrath of the Emperor of the timeline? Because at this point, why not? You know, I really wanted to keep it a little bit lower profile, but now I think, you know what? Just go all the way with it. Who cares? It's fan fiction anyway. I'll try my best to do it properly and give it good writing and make it entertaining and enjoyable, and have you enjoy it. If you want to set your own stories in this era, in this setting, go for it. Have fun. Let me know if you want me to read through something. I will. If you want to make videos or anything set in the spirit, sure, go for it. A few things that I'd advise you to do is to first of all realize that while it's still Star Wars, most of the characters known are not there anymore. However, theoretically speaking, you can bring them back, because Star Wars does this all the time. Like Revan was brought back, I think 3 or 4 times. You have Valkorion come back. You have the Emperor, like Palpatine, come back multiple times. I mean, given how this whole Palpatine thing works, he could be back any moment. He could be back in this time. You can have Force ghosts appear to bring back Yoda and Anakin and whatnot. Darth Maul, why not? Sure. You can use literal undead to bring back people that you like, because Mgal is not restricted to living tissue. If you want to have a basically infected Leia come back, oh god, I just gave Disney an idea, didn't I? You can. Just saying, there is many ways you can have people that whose fate we didn't really know frozen in carbonite and have them thaw out in this era. So there is ways to bring back characters from the official timelines into this era, though I would advise that you do so after thinking about it really, really well, because just bringing basically everyone back into this timeline could be a bit weird. But technically speaking, there's nothing preventing you from doing it, unless they are dead, and their body incinerated or whatever, so that even Mgal can't do anything with that. And then you still have Force ghosts. So yeah, you do as you please. I'm also open for input, so if you have any ideas on how to expand on this, what I should focus on, what I should do with the character, please let me know in the comments. Leave a like, leave a sub, and have a nice day, and may the Force be with you.